Dear viewers, thank you for joining us. You're watching our weekly program, Talk to OBN. In this edition, we'll be discussing about the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam's political dynamics, and joined by water resource management expert, engineer Mekonin Ayana, and he's a university professor in Asto University, right?
Yes.
Professor, before going to the discussion, can you just tell us a bit about your profile?
Thank you very much. My name is Mekonin Ayana, professor at Adama Science and Technology University. Water resources engineering and management. I'm a lecturer there and also researcher. Before I joined Adama Science and Technology University before 7 years, I served at Arbament University for 16 years in this area.
Would you please share us your view of water generally?
Yes.
Some people say water is life, and others say water is everything.
Yeah.
In your perspective, what's your view about water in general?
Yes, water, as the saying goes, and also practically, water is life. Water gives life, maintains life on Earth and elsewhere. Water is a special resources because it exists in the liquid form, in the solid form, in the gaseous form, and so depending upon temperature, it can take a state of solid, liquid, or gas. And generally, from a life point of view, it is a life-giving and life-maintaining resource.
Ethiopia is endowed with many natural and man-made resources. And how do you see, the potential that Ethiopia has in the areas of water resources?
Yes, Ethiopia, from water resources potential point of view, we have been calling Ethiopia as a water tower of East Africa. Water tower of East Africa. In that, we are referring to the fact that our water resources are emanating from highland areas and then flow in different direction to neighboring countries. To majority of our water resources are flowing to northwest direction, forming the Great Nile. Others are also flowing to east, southeast, and to the south, Omo-Gibe. Therefore, we are referring to the origin and the direction of flow when we say water tower of East Africa. But from the general potential availability point of view, now gradually we are entering into scarce categorization, because adequate water availability would mean more than 2,000 cubic meter per capita per year or so. As population grows, the resources availability per capita obviously decreases. That is what we are now experiencing. Of course, still, from physical resource availability point of view, Ethiopia has immense water resources. Of course, that is not economically tapped, technically constructed, and used for socio-economic development of the country in general. So therefore, potential is there physically, but we are in the water scarce condition, because we could not develop that water resources to make it available for different uses because of the inability to construct infrastructure that stores water, transport water to point of use, and potentially we cannot complain that we don't have water. We have water.
Okay. Recently, Sudan, Ethiopia, and Egypt sat in Finfinne for negotiation, but it ended up without result. Can you just tell us, I mean, all the political journey?
It's a long journey accompanied by many complexities because of the downstream countries' wish to maintain the status quo that they had for centuries. And that specifically Egypt has been considering dominance over the Nile as at the basic foreign policy since over many years, as a major foreign policy to maintain the status quo of dominance over the Nile. They went through all possible strategies and the ways in order to maintain that. That also mostly included forcing Ethiopia not to be able to look at its water resource development by using third parties, disturbing the internal politics, and also diverting the funding possibilities from outside for Ethiopia. They have used all the means to divert Ethiopia not to look to this river, which they consider as their rivers, their water, Egypt's water. Although the major contributor is Ethiopia, they call it Egyptian water. So therefore, but in the course of time, we, as you said, this project is conceived and also started to be realized. Then they, of course, before that, for more than 10 years, with the support of external fund providers, the so-called Nile Basin Initiative were implemented starting from 1996 or something, 97 up to 2010. Still, there are some projects which we call them projects that try to establish trust among riparian countries. And then after the project started, there were agreement made that to DOP, we call it
DOP, or Declaration of Principles.
Yes, and then that principle, that agreement put a basic milestone to build trust and also to allow the construction of the dam. It's not like they say, it's not unilateral undertaking, but it is supported also by principles put under in DOP. Then a series of negotiations went through until last week for another modality of negotiation. Through all those negotiations, they raised a lot of issues. But when you summarize and see what are the hidden agenda, not the hidden agenda, clear agenda of Egyptian is just to get Ethiopia to come on board to recognize their dominance. So to get approval of Ethiopia about their dominance. That means the water belongs to Egypt, like that. The treaty agreements and so on. Therefore, a lot of arrangements were done in America, in Washington, and by under the presence of African Union and so on. A lot of trials and practice have been done with the goodwill of Ethiopia to decide for cooperation, not for confrontation. But in all those exercises and meetings, Egypt had nothing to compromise. They had nothing to compromise, but to make sure that Ethiopia also signs that binding agreement, which undermines Ethiopia's right to use the Nile water, the Blue Nile water, including the tributaries.
Egypt mainly wants to stick on colonial agreements.
Yeah.
So we have this Declaration of Principles, Nile Basin Initiatives Agreement, and other agreements there. Why they want to stick to this colonial agreement over others?
Yes. Number one, Egypt, from the basic political standpoint of view, regarding the Nile, they have already incorporated into their foreign policy plus constitution as well. The amendment of their constitution made 2014 incorporated Article 44, which clearly puts that preserving and protecting of the Nile Egyptian water is a responsibility of the Egyptian state. It is clearly put that in that way. The water must be protected. Yes. Therefore, if you see from this standpoint point of view, they have no point for negotiation to give and take. It is clearly put. It is a responsibility of their government to protect from any other interference, even excluding the riparian countries like upstream country like Ethiopia, which contributes more than 86% of the Nile. Therefore, if you see this kind of determination of owning the water and protecting the drop of water, even they mention it now and then that Ethiopia should not take even the drop of water, not even come to the point where they touch Egyptian water. Some leaders are saying like that. Now and then they say, we advise our Ethiopian friends not to touch a drop of water. This is unacceptable.
The Nile waters touch 11 countries, 11 riparian countries in it, but it remained a concern of Egypt mainly. Why?
Of course, the Nile, those other upstream countries, like those which are located along the White Nile, they have enough adequate amount of rain, and also the contribution to the Great Nile is relatively small, only 20% and so. The largest proportion of the Nile comes from Ethiopian highlands and the like. And from the very beginning, 1929, even 1902, during Menelik II and so on, their attention was on the side of Ethiopia because they know that rain falling on highlands of Ethiopia quickly travels this long distance and reach there, carrying also fertile soil of Ethiopia and so on. So their attention is due to the potential, the largest proportion of the potential located on our side. Therefore, although they have also interference in other countries like in Uganda, Sudan, and so on, more interest lies on Ethiopia due to the high potential located in our region. Therefore, of course, there was an attempt to draft and also make agreement about this cooperative framework agreement, which encompass all 11 riparian countries. At the end, those countries we are mentioning were not willing to sign that cooperative agreement because of their fear not to lose this dominance over the Nile.
Yeah, well, the GERD is now 90% complete. What should Ethiopia do to make the best out of this dam when it goes fully operational?
Yes. dam and other water resource infrastructures are meant to store water, and also hydroelectric dam is to store adequate amount of water and then gradually convert that energy to electric energy and supply the whole nation in order to be able to run modern life and generate technologies and also support the whole manufacturing sector of the country to bring about economic development in general. Therefore, that dam must be maintained, must be operated. All those require also skilled manpower who can operate that, sustainably operate that, and generate electric power useful for many sectors, including export for regional integration. Ethiopia can export green energy that is useful for economic integration of the region, peaceful coexistence of the region as a whole. So Ethiopia, this dam is not per se not only electric generating dam. It has many economic benefits. Tourism, if you see that the tourism sector, it has 250 kilometer length behind the dam and 1,700 kilometer square of area, which is very attractive for many other economic activities like fishery, tourism. There are more than 80 islands to be created over that area. Tourism, ecotourism, fishery, many other economic activities can be can reside there, generate other economic benefits. Therefore, what Ethiopia has to do is to make sure that this system is properly operated, properly maintained also, because maintaining the dam requires maintaining the whole watershed of that system. So otherwise, as it looks now, many of the Ethiopian watersheds are getting degraded. Population is growing. These low input agricultural activities are degrading the area. That also aggravates soil erosion, siltation of the dam, shortening of the life of the dam, and so on. We don't need to lose this mega dam in short period of time because of the siltation and so on.
Well,
so we need to conserve the whole system, in addition to proper operation of the dam.
Well, okay. The fourth round discussion between Egypt and Sudan, as well as Ethiopia, over the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam in Finfinne was concluded without any concrete agreement. What will be the possible proceeding now on?
Yeah, that is unfortunate. Also expected by many of us. Why we expect disagreement? It's not normal to expect disagreement. But from Egypt's standpoint of view, you expect disagreement. Because what they negotiate is to convince Ethiopia to sign binding agreement. The negotiation is not about GERD. It's not about the dam. The dam is only considered as hostage. They take the dam as hostage, but they negotiate over the Ethiopian water in general, upstream of the dam. What does that mean? The major negotiation point they always raise is that Ethiopia should guarantee 40 billion cubic meter per year annual flow. We call it natural flow. 40 billion cubic meter. Ethiopia can do whatever it likes, but 40 billion natural flow must not be touched. So guarantee, they say. Guaranteeing this would mean compromising development activities upstream of the dam. You see, 40 billion cubic meter was a natural flow without any intervention into the upstream tributary rivers. But we have many plans to develop also irrigation projects, water supply projects, hydropower projects in many of the tributary rivers. When we do this, then we cannot guarantee 40 billion cubic meter down there. You see, they negotiate about the Nile, but directly they negotiate about the whole river system, so that the Ethiopian wish of developing it is water resource for socio-economic development, and also the chance of coming generation to do the same. Yeah? They want to compromise that, but Ethiopia will not do that. The separation of the whole water system from the dam is important, but they do that, and obviously under that condition you cannot expect agreement, because Ethiopia will not compromise. It is right of using it is natural resource, and also the chance of next generation to use it is resources, it is country's resources. So Egypt has nothing to compromise, had no single compromise made so far, and will not be expected to do.
Their doubt is on the feeling and the operation. Why?
Yeah, of course. They negotiated long years of feeling. Of course, Ethiopia is also responsibility to make sure that the feeling doesn't cause significant harm to the downstream countries. Ethiopia's owns responsibility. So therefore, the filling should be done when adequate rainfall and runoff is there. We have done that, okay, without compromising average flow to the downstream countries. If suppose there is no adequate rain, then the filling would run over a certain period of longer period of time than 6 years. But luckily enough, we had adequate rainfall, so we managed to fill around 50% of the storage without any significant harm.
What does it mean by without significant harm? Because
Ethiopia may fill this huge dam within short period of time without releasing adequate water to the downstream dams. That is their fear, number one. From operation point of view, also while operating, we release water downstream. Yeah? They say even in the negotiation points, they want to bring into the negotiation, into the binding agreement points like, for example, Ethiopia must release a certain amount of water from the stored volume in order to support Egypt and Sudan to cope up with drought, for example. Yeah, they put a different layer of drought, like drought, prolonged drought, blah blah, and so on, and then put when it is so, Ethiopia must release so. When it is so, Ethiopia must release so, in order to support Egypt to cope up with drought. This is against the international law as well as from Ethiopian right point of view, because drought is a risk that all of us must share, not only Ethiopia. We store water and release to support them cope up with drought. This is also unfair. Yeah? And another proposal they do is Ethiopia must maintain 165 meter of height in the high Aswan Dam. Look at this also, unfair proposal, because the water level in high Aswan Dam is a factor of also water use in the downstream. If they use more water, the water will drop very quickly, not only from the release of Ethiopian side. This is also unfair. So therefore, they want to bring all those into the operational criteria, you see. That is why they are interested in the operational criteria and the release. And what you said, significant harm. Significant arm has a different connotation. Significant arm from whose point of view? Of course, what are the criteria that you maintain so that you make sure that significant arm to other riparian country will not follow? For example, if there are already established uses and those established uses are affected by virtue of your misuse of the water, that may be considered a significant arm. Or water quality, water quantity, and so on. But in this case also, there are many other factors that must be considered in order to evaluate whether significant harm has happened or not. For example, like you have to share information. They are diverting water to the desert areas. Even there are rumors that they have also exported water through canals to Israel and so on. So all those new water use projects must be reported to Ethiopia also. You see, they expand projects that are using water, and later on they will consider this as existing use and claim that Ethiopia has caused a significant harm to their use. That is also not fair. They have to report also, like they demand us to tell them what we are doing. They have also to tell us what they are doing. Therefore, the explanation and evaluation of significant harm takes into account many other factors also as well.
Okay, the 1993 Egypt and Ethiopia Agreement on Framework for General Cooperation stated that neither country would do anything with the Nile that causes significant harm. From your knowledge of the case, has Egypt provided any evidence that Ethiopia is doing against this agreement?
No. Rather, they are doing significant harm to us by saying, by running a lot of diplomacy that Ethiopia is unilaterally doing this and that, and that they say Ethiopia, we have already shared the whole water, zero. Ethiopia has no water share, they say. You see, they are causing significant harm to us, at least theoretically. Okay. Therefore, there is no evidence. Also, we are also responsible. We are also questioned. We say also, even if we generate that amount of water, 86%, we are always free and willing to share that water with them fairly, equitably, reasonably, leave alone causing to them significant harm. That is not true.
Professor Mekonin Ayana, expert on water resources and management. Thank you for your scholarly analysis and expertise.
Thank you also.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Dear viewers, thank you for being with us. This brings you the end of our edition for today. Hope you had a wonderful insight on the GERD political dynamics. Bye-bye. Take care.